Have you ever realized you've been sitting in the same room for years without meaning to? Not literally, I mean mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The same patterns, the same doubts, the same old tired conversations with yourself about how someday you'll finally do the thing. And if we're going to speak some straight truth here, you knew the room was getting stale. You felt it months ago, maybe years ago. That dull hum behind your eyes, that low-grade ache in your chest, that fog in your gut when someone asks how you're doing and you say, "Yeah, I'm good," but you're not. You're restless, you're stuck, you're performing stability, and the worst part is, it's comfortable, probably painful, but familiar. And most people would rather sit in familiar pain than face unfamiliar freedom. Because at least in here, you know where the walls are. You know what to expect. Even if what you're expecting is slow, quiet suffering. But that's the trap, isn't it? Thinking that the pain we understand is safer than freedom that we don't understand. That's what the Buddha meant when he said craving leads to suffering. This doesn't just apply to craving things or just craving pleasure, but also to craving certainty, predictability, control. So you learn how to decorate the room. You hang your certificates, you post your highlight reel, you say the right things. You keep yourself busy so you don't have to sit still long enough to hear your own voice whisper, "Is this it?" You tell yourself not to complain. You've got a decent life, but that voice in you, that wild part, that honest part, it knows. You weren't made for maintenance. You weren't built to be agreeable. You weren't put here just to die with a clean resume and a tidy reputation. And somewhere deep in the heart of you, you know that too. Let's not dress it up. Stepping out of your comfort zone, it's not an inspirational quote and it's not a vision board. It looks like telling the truth when your voice shakes. It looks like walking away from things that no longer fit, even if they once did. It looks like disappointing people who had you filed under a version of you you've outgrown. And you know what's harder than taking a risk? Staying in a version of your life that makes you feel invisible. Dying a slow death by repetition. Mistaking routine for identity. But one thing Buddhism teaches that almost no one else wants to hear is the truth of impermanence. Nothing stays the same. Nothing. So the room you're clinging to, it's already dissolving. You're just holding on to the idea of it. And that idea, that illusion, is what causes you suffering. No one's coming to push you out the door. You keep waiting for a sign, a signal, a spiritual permission slip, but you're the one holding the key. You've always had it. That edge you're afraid of, that's not the end. That's the beginning. That's where the ego starts to burn away and something real gets born. That's where you stop trying to become someone and start remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. It's not about being fearless. It's about saying enough. Enough pretending, enough performance, enough waiting for perfect clarity. Clarity comes after the step, not before. Sometimes the most radical thing you can say is, "I don't want to live like this anymore." And then follow that sentence with a single, shaky step. Will it be messy? Yeah. Will you lose things? Yeah, of course. But everything you've ever loved, you've also lost or will lose. That's not cynical. That's just truth. You can't keep it all, so choose what matters and flow. Choose what's alive, even if it's unknown. In fact, especially if it's unknown. Because when you cling to what's fading, you suffer. But when you loosen your grip, when you let go, not out of defeat but out of trust, you remember how to move again. Comfort zones don't protect you. They numb you. They make you forget that life is breath and change and movement. They build you a nice little prison and ask you to decorate the walls. But the locks are on the inside. So if your life doesn't fit anymore, change it. Even if it feels scary and you have no idea what comes next. In fact, especially if you have no idea what comes next. That's the path. That's the Dharma. Let go. Step in. Pay attention. You don't need to be fearless and you don't need to be sure. You just need to stop gaslighting yourself into thinking this version of you is all that there is. You know how to play small. You've rehearsed it, mastered it. Now, my friend, it's time to learn something new. Learn how to walk into rooms where your doubt follows you, but let your truth lead you. Learn how to let the script fall apart. Not to replace it with another story, but to stop mistaking these old stories for identity. Learn how to sit in the not knowing without flinching, because that's where your life lives. Right there, in the space between who you've been and who you're becoming. So yeah, it'll be uncomfortable, but discomfort isn't the enemy, it's the teacher. Ask any monk who sat through the itch of stillness. Ask anyone who stared down the craving and said, I see you, but I won't feed you today. You want more? Then show up like someone who's tired of playing it safe. Even if your hands shake, even if your voice cracks, even if the door scares the hell out of you. You'll figure it out as you walk. That's how this works. So it's time to get out of the room. You know it. I know it. And the version of you haven't met yet, the one who breathes deeper, walks lighter, lets go faster, they're already outside, smiling, waiting, not trying to convince you, just showing you what's possible. So stop pacing, turn the handle, and step into what comes next.